Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Troy Charles. Here are your top stories. Thunder Bay's Regional Hospital has moved its internal COVID-19 response level to gray lockdown and has begun sending patients to Southern Ontario for care as it grapples with rising COVID-19 hospitalizations. 2 patients have so far been transferred elsewhere, a representative for the hospital says. As of today, there were 45 COVID-positive patients in hospital, with 12 of those in the ICU. The hospital also declared an outbreak in its 1A medical unit. That means 24 beds in that unit are now unavailable for admissions. It also means no new admissions and no access for essential care partners at the 1A oncology unit. Moving on, the Thunder Bay District Health Unit reported 43 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 today. 20 cases were considered a result of household contact, 7 from other close contact. An exposure category was unknown for 8 cases and pending for 7 others. Of the new cases, 39 involved Thunder Bay area residents and 3 were in District First Nations. With 32 cases declared resolved Saturday, active cases rose slightly to 446. Also, 1 case was associated with a COVID-19 outbreak at the Walford Retirement Home, marking a total of 20 cases reported there since March 10th. Passengers on an Air Canada flight from Toronto to Thunder Bay at the beginning of the month may have been exposed to COVID-19, according to a federal database. Passengers on the March 1st Air Canada Flight 7924 who sat in rows 14 to 20 are considered to be at risk. This information was released on the federal website after the Thunder Bay District Health Unit announced it would no longer report low-risk exposures on flights. Now, it's not the answer Marathon Town Council was hoping to hear. The district's medical officer of health has confirmed the community and others that are well distanced from Thunder Bay must remain within the gray lockdown framework. Last week, Council in Marathon passed a resolution requesting the town be put back into the red control level because of their low case numbers and the detrimental impact on local businesses. Mayor Rick Dumas says they should be excluded from the lockdown due to the 300-kilometer gap between Thunder Bay and Marathon, along with there being no essential purpose for city residents to travel to his community. Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Janet DeMille, says there is no mechanism available to her knowledge to sever a community from the district-wide designation, but she does understand the hardships of those along the North Shore.
So it does seem quite unfair that they are faced with the same restrictions because of what's happening here. And that's a reflection of sort of the realities of the North, right? We are very geographically, fairly a large health unit, but those measures are applied, unfortunately, across the whole health unit area.
One of the many service gaps in the Northwest is non-urgent patient transfers, which often take an ambulance tasked for emergency care out to facilitate the transfer. But for the next 3 years, 2 North Shore hospitals and their attached long-term care homes have partnered with an outside agency to strengthen regional care. Adam Riley has that story.
A number of our transfers, they don't really need paramedic care. They need the transportation to get into town to have their diagnostics done or their day surgery or the cath lab or whatever that may be.
For the next 3 years, patients from Nipissing District Memorial Hospital, McCausland Hospital, or Wilkes Terrace requiring transportation for diagnostic services in Thunder Bay will travel in an ambulance, but not one from the fleet managed by Superior North EMS. They will instead arrive for their procedure in a unit operated by Ambutrans, a private firm that offers a variety of medical transportation services, including non-urgent patient transfers. CEO Kathy Eady says this will ease the burden on both hospitals and EMS.
We've often had patients or staff in Thunder Bay that we can't get back because EMS is doing the job they're meant to do, responding to those emergency situations. So now Ambutrans, it's booked, it's timely. You know that they're coming on time, they're going to pick you up, they're not going to leave you stranded, so to really bridge that gap for us.
Funding for the project is coming through Superior North EMS, and vehicles are staffed with attendants trained in CPR and basic first aid. North of Superior Healthcare Group CEO Adam Brown, who oversees McCausland Hospital and Wilkes Terrace in Terrace Bay, says this new model, in addition to freeing up paramedics to focus on emergencies, will also free up money for hospitals themselves.
If we're saving money on our home front in our hospital environments by not sending a nurse accompaniment up there, obviously that's going to save us local money, which we could reinvest in different services, including that transportation service if it's not available, if the funding is not available. So it's a good news story, and we think it's going to be successful.
There are 3 other hospitals in the Thunder Bay district and several health centers, and depending on the success of this project, Edie says it could expand if there's demand and if it is feasible. Adam Riley, TBT News.
A Thunder Bay company that manufactures special air purifiers has lent 2 filter systems to a local homeless shelter to help prevent further spread of COVID-19. Catalina Gillies reports.
It's almost been a month since the Thunder Bay District Health Unit declared an outbreak among the homeless population. The shelter house has definitely felt those effects. Because of the cold temperatures, the shelter house has been over capacity, leading to several positive COVID-19 cases. Executive Director Michelle Jordan talks about the struggles they have faced.
You know, this virus requires you to be distant from people, and in a shelter setting, it's a cohort living space. Makes it extremely difficult for people to stay 6 feet away from each other. So it's been really hard to manage.
Local company Miglo decided to step in by lending 2 of its air filtration units to the shelter to help purify the air and prevent further COVID-19 spread. The Thunder Bay International Airport also purchased some of these units for their Emergency Response Operations Center and the office areas in the main terminal. President and Chief Scientist of Miglo, Scott Butcher, explains how the technology works.
They're ultraviolet C air purifiers, so they draw in air with fans through a large volume where there's some very strong ultraviolet C lamps, and the ultraviolet C is known to be able to kill viruses, including COVID-19, and then it sends it out the other end of the unit, sort of recirculating the air continuously.
I think anything that's going to assist in reducing, infection rates is always good. So we were happy to receive this donation and for a few months, and hoping that it helps.
The filter units will stay at the shelter house for another 2 months until the weather warms up. Butcher says the units will help stop the spread and hopefully reduce the number of COVID deaths in the city. Catalina Gillies, TBT News.
A local youth group known as Fridays for Future Thunder Bay has released a zine or mini magazine titled Thunder, Making Noise in the Age of Climate Denial. The online booklet is designed to raise awareness on climate change. The pieces were made by local youth ranging from ages 12 to 18, with artistic formats in the zine ranging from drawing and digital illustrations to poems and photography. The majority of the pages highlight the work of art by the youth, but also include sections giving information on the climate emergency in the city and how readers can support the environment. Lexi Herdon, one of the group's organizers, hopes the pieces made by local youth will invoke emotion in the reader, showing the passion from the artists and helping them towards taking action.
There's a limited amount of things at the moment we can do, not being able to meet in person, but at the same time, you can examine and reflect on your own life and lifestyle and hopefully make some sort of change.
Also putting more pressure on governments and organizations to really make these changes that we need and to be a leader for the community in environmental stewardship.
The zine can be found on the group's social media pages, and tonight at 7 o'clock a video of a virtual launch party will be posted discussing the origins for the project, inspiration behind the artwork, and the importance of climate action. Lovers and haters of daylight saving time alike will be setting their clocks forward tomorrow. Clocks across most of Canada will move forward by an hour at 2 a.m. Sunday morning with the arrival of daylight saving time. Clocks will be set back again on November 7th. And as the weather warms up, the risk of the ski hills having a shorter season increases. Today, with a daytime high of 10 degrees Celsius, Kayla Karim was at Loch Lomond and Mount Baldy, who each had quite the turnout.
More than 400 people were at Mount Baldy throughout the day, getting in what could be one of the final few weekends to ski in the city. Co-owner of the ski resort, Daniel Cardis, says he's trying to extend the season as long as he can, and the warm weather hasn't negatively impacted the hills just yet.
But right now we're killing it out here with all the snow we have, believe it or not. We're pretty well have the most snow in Ontario, which is pretty amazing. And the nice thing is the cold nights are keeping the snow on the mountain, and I have a lot of reserve piles at the top. Like last night, we were pushing all kinds of snow over, cover all the little bit of brown stains here and there. But yeah, people are enjoying the weather. So hopefully next couple weeks, the nights stay cold.
Over at Loch Lomond, co-owner Jason Gary says they have also seen good traffic from skiers and snowboarders. He hopes to be in full operation well into April.
Like I said, as long as people are coming out and we have snow on the runs, we're going to stay open. In fact, this week we have the time change overnight tonight. So for next week, we're going to be looking at later hours as well. So our operating hours are going to extend now until dusk. So we're not only looking at not shutting down, but we're looking at actually extending the hours and actually doing more. So yeah, there's lots of season left, and people should just come out and enjoy it.
Both of the ski hill owners say despite the shortened season and alterations due to COVID protocols, they have received nothing but positive feedback from the community. Kayla Karim, TBT News.
Joined now by Avery McCrae, and off to the pebbled ice in the bubble in Calgary. The Brier is getting right into the thick of it.
Yeah, championship play going on. Tomorrow's the finals. It always makes for a lot of fun, exciting stones to be thrown. We'll give you those highlights when we return.